Hi, I'm Chef John Hartley. We're going to talk about the difference between grilling steaks and searing steaks. So let's get cooking. I always face my steaks at 10 o'clock, looking at the grill. The importance of that will show in a second when I flip it. But one thing to remember, always bring your steaks out of the refrigerator before you put them on the grill. Let them come up to room temperature. If they're too cold, you overcook the outside before you get the inside done enough. So it works, it cooks faster, it cooks better, and it's easier to get the final outcome that you're looking for. Okay, so I think we're ready for our first flip. So it's at 10 o'clock, I'm gonna leave it at 10 o'clock. And again, a lot of people like to cook one side completely and then flip it, but for thin cuts of meat, thin steaks, that tends to make them pucker. So by flipping it side A, side B, you end up with a much flatter steak, and you can pick whichever side is prettiest to serve up in front of the customer. The other thing, the other advantage of doing this is the first flip, you'll see the grill marks are perpendicular to the grill. And we're about ready for our next turn. So this one, I'm gonna take it from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock and back to side A, and you can see the grill marks are parallel now. So I can very easily see that I'm on my third side cooking it. And our last turn, you see it's nice and brown. That brown coloring is what gives you the flavor. So people ask, how do you tell if your steak is done? You can do it by feeling this muscle on your hand and relax. That's rare, medium, medium well, and well. As you do that, this muscle firms up, and that's basically what you're feeling for when you're cooking your steaks. And always remember to rest the meat before you cut it. Let it sit 5-10 minutes before you cut into it. It'll make the final product a lot juicier. Okay, so we're gonna sear this steak. When you're searing a steak, you wanna have a really heavy pan to hold the heat, and start with just a little bit of olive oil, or basically any cooking oil. You wanna heat it until that oil starts to shimmer. And then drop your steak in and let it start to cook. Now, a lot of people will say to cook it completely on one side and then finish cooking it on the other side. For thick steaks, that actually works pretty well, but for thinner cut steaks or pork chops, things like that, they tend to pucker. So I prefer to cook both sides multiple times just to make sure that I get a nice flat product. And as you can see, we're losing a lot of that seasoning. That's why I said to really work it into the steak well. But what you really want to get is browning, and you can see just around the edges it's barely starting to brown. That browning is what gives you the flavor. So don't take it off. That's why you want a really nice high heat. And you can kind of rub it in your seasonings that have come off. But you see we're starting to develop a really nice brown color. That's what's giving it the flavor. Work your seasonings around so you don't burn them. And then when your steak's about halfway ready, you want to deglaze with something. I'm using red wine. You could use white wine, alcohols, water, but all of that stuff in the bottom of the pan is where a lot of your flavor is. This boils it off. And it also helps finish cooking the steak. And when your wine is, or your deglazing liquid has almost boiled away, I like to add a little butter to the pan. Let that melt in. And that browning butter gives it a nice nutty flavor. And take some of that browning butter and baste the steak in it. And there you've got a nicely seared steak.